There's a moment I see far too often in my clinic. A patient sits across from me, looks perfectly fine on the outside, maybe a little tired, maybe a little slower than they used to be, and then we look at their scan, and suddenly, everything changes. Because what we see inside their arteries doesn't match how they feel at all. We're not talking about a small issue. We're talking about thick, stubborn plaque quietly building up inside the blood vessels that feed the heart, the brain, even the legs. And the most unsettling part is this: most of them had no idea it was happening. No warning, no pain, no signal strong enough to make them stop and think something is wrong. But here's where it becomes deeply concerning. Many of these people believed they were doing the right things. They were taking their medications, watching their diet, at least they thought they were, avoiding obvious junk foods. Some were even on statins for years, and yet the plaque kept growing slowly, silently, layer by layer. Now, this is the part that almost no one talks about. Inside your arteries right now, there's a delicate balance happening. Your body is constantly trying to repair tiny injuries in your blood vessel walls. But when certain conditions are present, like chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, or unstable blood sugar, those repair processes go wrong. Instead of healing smoothly, your body starts laying down cholesterol, calcium, and inflammatory cells like a patch job gone bad. Over time, those patches harden, they thicken, they narrow the pathway your blood needs to flow. And here's the hidden danger. It's not just the size of the plaque that matters, it's the type. Some plaques are stable, others are like ticking time bombs, soft, inflamed, and ready to rupture without warning. When that happens, a clot can form instantly, and that's when heart attacks or strokes occur. Now think about this for a moment. What if the real issue isn't just cholesterol? What if the deeper problem is the environment inside your body, the conditions that either promote plaque buildup or quietly help break it down? And what if, without realizing it, certain foods you eat every day are either fueling that damage or helping your body reverse it? Because here's where things become very interesting. There are specific natural compounds found in everyday foods that don't just support heart health in a general sense. They actually interact with the very mechanisms that control inflammation, plaque stability, and arterial repair. In fact, some of these compounds influence the same pathways that medications target, but in a much broader, more supportive way. And yet, most people have never been told about them. Not because they're secret, but because the conversation around heart health has been narrowly focused for decades. So what we're going to do today is gently shift that perspective. Not by dismissing medications like statins, they absolutely have their place, but by expanding your understanding of what your body truly needs to protect and even improve the health of your arteries over time. Because once you understand what's really happening inside your blood vessels, the choices you make every day start to feel very different. Now, as we move forward, I want you to picture your arteries not as rigid pipes, but as living, dynamic tissues. They respond to what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and even how your body handles stress. Over time, especially after the age of 45 or 50, these tissues become more vulnerable. The inner lining of your arteries, called the endothelium, starts to lose some of its flexibility and protective function. When that happens, tiny cracks and dysfunction begin to appear. And this is where many people unknowingly make a serious mistake. They focus only on lowering cholesterol numbers, but ignore the health of the arterial wall itself. Because if the wall is inflamed and damaged, plaque will continue to form, regardless of how low your cholesterol is. Now, this is the part most people have never heard before. Your body actually has built-in systems designed to clean up and stabilize plaque. There are immune cells that can remove debris. There are signaling molecules that can reduce inflammation. There are even processes that can help shrink certain types of plaque over time. But these systems only work properly when the internal environment supports them. And that environment is heavily influenced by what you eat. So let's talk about two specific foods, simple, accessible, and backed by strong scientific understanding that can support your body in this process in a way that might surprise you. The first one is something many people overlook or underestimate. It's extra virgin olive oil. Now, at first glance, this might not sound revolutionary, but what happens inside your body when you consume high-quality extra virgin olive oil regularly is far more powerful than most people realize. You see, this oil is rich in a group of compounds called polyphenols. These are natural antioxidants, but their role goes far beyond just fighting free radicals. They actively reduce inflammation inside the arterial walls. They improve the function of the endothelium, helping your arteries stay flexible and responsive. And perhaps most importantly, they help stabilize plaque. Here's what that means. Instead of allowing plaque to remain soft and prone to rupture, these compounds encourage it to become more stable and less dangerous. That alone can significantly reduce the risk of sudden heart events. But what happens next inside the body is even more surprising. Extra virgin olive oil also helps increase something called nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation. Better blood flow means less stress on the arterial walls and a healthier overall environment for repair. Now imagine this effect happening day after day, week after week, simply from incorporating the right kind of fat into your meals. Not processed oils, not refined products stripped of their nutrients, but real high-quality olive oil used consistently. It's a subtle shift, but over time, it can change the trajectory of your vascular health. Now let's move to the second food, and this one might surprise you even more. Fatty fish. We're talking about salmon, sardines, mackerel, foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids. And again, this isn't just about general heart health. Omega-3s directly influence the inflammatory processes that drive plaque formation. They reduce the production of harmful inflammatory molecules. They help thin the blood slightly, reducing the risk of clot formation. And they improve the balance of lipids in a way that supports healthier arteries. But here's where things become even more compelling. Omega-3 fatty acids can actually influence the composition of plaque itself. They help make it less inflamed, less unstable, and less likely to rupture. In other words, they don't just affect how much plaque you have. They affect how dangerous that plaque is. And this distinction is critical, because many heart attacks don't occur in arteries that are completely blocked. They happen when a smaller, unstable plaque suddenly ruptures. So by supporting plaque stability, these nutrients address one of the most dangerous aspects of cardiovascular disease. Now, I want to pause here for a moment, because it's easy to hear this and think, so all I need to do is eat olive oil and fish. And this is where we need to be very clear. These foods are powerful tools, but they are part of a larger picture. Because your arteries respond to patterns, not isolated choices. If someone is consuming these foods but still dealing with high sugar intake, chronic stress, poor sleep, and inactivity, the benefits will be limited. But when these foods are part of a broader supportive lifestyle, that's when real change begins to happen. Now let me show you what that looks like in a practical, realistic way. Imagine starting your day with a simple meal that doesn't spike your blood sugar, something balanced with protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Later, incorporating a meal with fatty fish a few times a week, using extra virgin olive oil as your primary cooking and dressing fat, adding vegetables that support vascular health, like leafy greens, which also help boost nitric oxide, and combining all of this with small daily habits, like walking after meals, staying hydrated, and getting consistent sleep. None of these actions are extreme, but together, they create an internal environment where your body can function the way it was designed to, where inflammation is controlled, where repair mechanisms are active, where plaque is less likely to grow and more likely to stabilize. And here's something very important to remember. Your body is not static. Even in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, it is constantly adapting. It responds to what you do consistently. So the idea that nothing can be done, that damage is permanent, is simply not true. Now, of course, there are cases where medication is necessary and life-saving. Statins, for example, can significantly reduce risk in certain individuals. But the most powerful approach is not choosing one or the other. It's combining medical guidance with supportive lifestyle strategies that work with your body, not against it. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not just to lower a number on a lab report. It's to protect your independence, your energy, your ability to move, think clearly, and live fully without limitation. And that begins with understanding what's happening beneath the surface, the silent processes, the daily choices, the small shifts that over time create profound results. So as you go about your day, I want you to carry one simple thought with you. Every meal, every habit, every choice is either adding stress to your arteries or helping them heal. And the remarkable part is your body is always ready to respond in a positive way when you give it the right support. It doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency, awareness, and a willingness to make small, meaningful changes that align with how your body actually works. Because when you do that, you're not just managing your health, you're actively shaping your future